Welcome to the My Creative Days podcast, where we will talk about all things DIY, home decor, decorating tips, and creating a beautiful home on a budget. I am hoping our time together will spark a creative idea, help you plan your next DIY, or inspire you to finally tackle that project you keep putting off. Grab your favorite cup of motivation and let's chat. Hello and welcome back to the podcast. I thought I would do a podcast. I don't think I've ever done this here on the podcast. I honestly think that I should do this on a lot of the platforms that I post to, YouTube and Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. The website kind of has a section like this for it, but in all the places. So if you're not following me on any of those places, make sure you head over and follow along. The podcast is something new-ish for us to do, or that we've been doing. And so I've been posting and creating content for over 10 years in all the other places. But I thought today, before I get ahead of myself already, right in the introduction, I would do a get to know me episode just to kind of, who is the voice behind the mic? And for those of you that have listened for a year or so, I just don't think I've done, I hate to say a formal episode about a get to know me episode, but I thought it would be fun today to kind of just tell you my story and how my creative days started. I know I have kind of touched a little bit on this inside some of the episodes, but I just thought I'd dedicate an episode to a get to know me post. And yeah, so here we go. So first of all, I'm going to say that my journey to my creative days and all of this, number one, was not planned. I did not set out to do this. A little bit about me. So I went to college. I got my bachelor's degree. I wanted to work. I've always worked with kids. Like I nannied in the summers. I babysat. I got my first babysitting club. We started like a babysitting business when I was 11. I mean, I literally have worked with kids like all my life. And so I went and got my bachelor's degree in psychology, child psychology. I thought I was going to work with, like troubled youth or, getting into the DHS world. And my senior year, we had to do an internship, which let me just say right now, with kids in college and going through my own college experience, and even Matt's got his degree too. My husband, Matt, for those of you that don't know, I think that those internships should be a lot earlier. And I know a lot of them are these days, because mine was at the end of senior year. I want to say it was the end, or maybe it was the beginning of senior year. I can't remember. But anyway, it was towards the end. And so I was working with some of the caseworkers for our local kind of DHS, different levels of like social work and like in the court system with all of that. And I quickly found out that I can't do this. Like I was going home every day really sad and really, I felt defeated because, there's obviously certain rules and certain things you have to do and you just want to save everybody. And I knew I could not do this day in and day out. So here I was. And so I was grateful for that internship because I was glad I didn't go into that, because I don't know where I would be today. Right after college, I got a job working. I was a preschool and daycare director. I did that for a few years until I got married during that job. And then a couple years later, let me see, 3 years later, our son Landon was born. And so I would take him to work with me every day. After Landon was born, I went down to like part-time. I was only there until noon every day, still doing my job, getting all the work done. But I was really feeling torn with wanting to be home with him. And it was but they were able to work it around it. So I could do kind of a half-time, part-time position after I had him. And then Miss Gabrielle, our daughter, came along a couple years later. And again, I was taking her with me. And then I just felt the pull, and Matt and I talked about it, and I decided to stay home. We decided, it was not just me. So I was staying home with the kids and, not knowing, just I was staying home with the kids. I knew that's where I wanted to be. Well, some friends started finding out that I was doing that. And so I started getting the phone calls. Hey, can you just watch mine for a day? Or, hey, Tuesday afternoon, I have to just go to a meeting. Can you? And it led into a full-time, I was watching kids in our home. Again, not planned. But to be honest, it worked out and it was so much fun. And, I got to pick the families. I knew the families. Like, they were great kids. It was great families. I was home with my kids, but I was also still getting to do, I did the whole circle time, and we had different, we did a craft every day, and we did, the ABCs, and that, I felt I was in teacher mode. It was so much fun. And truly, working with kids and doing that, it's second nature. I feel like, to me, I just always thought, well, I'm just going to work with kids, but I never wanted to be a teacher. I didn't ever want to be a teacher. I thought I was going to, I met Matt at the Boys and Girls Club. He is 5.5 years older than I am. So I was working there in college, just as a part-time job. And he was a director there. So it was his full-time job. So that's how we met. And I really wanted to get, I just wanted to get into that world. And so I did that. And then I nanny, I just was always around kids at some capacity. And just, again, it was second nature. Had my own, then friends started reaching out. So I was watching their kids, and it worked out. It was kind of like a seamless fit. And then I got to the point where as we had moved into, well, it's our house now, but it's our second house that we've lived in. And that's, the kids were born here, and we bought it from the original owners, and it was original, right? But it had great bones. So everything needed to be, painted and updated. And I should back up. In our first house, before I had kids, while I was working, I was the director of the daycare and all of that. We bought our first house, and the day after we got married, we moved into that house. We quickly found out I was not going to be able to decorate it and furnish it like I wanted, because we just didn't have the budget for it. So I had to start getting creative. And so I started flipping furniture. I started, recreating decor I found in the stores or online, or I can't even remember. If I say online, it was probably magazines back then, because I used to have, I can really go deep into this episode. I used to have binders all organized by theme, room. I had a party binder full of party ideas, and it was a problem. But anyway, I couldn't do that. So I started getting creative with, let's DIY something. Let's paint a piece of furniture to get what I want, blah, blah, blah. And my dad really helped us a lot. So if with projects, he always worked in construction. And so he was able to help us with a lot of my ideas, because Matt didn't know how to do any of that. When I met Matt, his family wasn't into tools at all. I've said it before, but literally did not know how to correctly swing a hammer. I remember my dad saying, have you seen him use a hammer? It was tap, 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 tap. That's just a funny inside joke that we have. But my dad really taught Matt so much over the years. Fast forward to now, and my dad is in a nursing home. That's been the last 3 weeks. So that's pretty raw. I've thought about doing a episode about that. I know I'm not ready for that today because it is so raw, but he taught Matt so much. And so he helped us a lot over the years doing projects and things like that. And so it got to a point. So then we moved into the house we are in now. And we continued that because this one was all original. So, we could do more things. It was a bigger house, it had more things to do. And so we just continued. And I would have friends and family come over to the house, and they're like, oh my gosh, how did you do that? And my favorite thing is, we did it this way, and do you know how much it costs? Next to nothing. Or I got this at a yard sale, and I was able to flip it into this and look at it. And people, friends and family coming over, they're like, what, are you kidding? They couldn't believe it. And they kept telling me, you need to get your ideas out there. You need to get your ideas out there. Well, around that time, I was really into couponing, and I had coupon binders, and my adrenaline, my dopamine was when I could go into a store, use all the coupons and all the things and come home and like get paid for the things that I was bringing home, right? Like not spending any money. So if you guys haven't, I know I've shared tons of episodes like this, but if I can save money, find a coupon or whatever, that's what I'm going to do. It's still like one of my favorite things. But back then, I was into that, couponing and all that. And I was trying to like research all the things I could find. And I started reading some couponing blogs. And so not knowing what they were, right? Like I just started reading them. And then friends and family are like, you need to get your ideas out there. And that's all they said. They weren't reading blogs or anything like that either. They're like, you just need to get your ideas out there. And I'm like, well, I don't know what that means, right? And so I started reading these coupon blogs. And I thought, well, I could maybe do this, right? It's free to do. Back then I signed up on, I want to say it was called Blogspot. Maybe it's still a thing. Anyway, you could do it for free. And I wish I could tell you guys, like give you an example to have you refer back. Well, you could go back to the website, my website, mycreativedays.com, and go all the way back to like the first and see like when I started out. But this was even before that. So even if you went all the way back on the website, you wouldn't even see this. We all have to start somewhere, right? But anyway, I would literally just like show a horrible photo, like the worst photo with the worst camera. And I would put it on there and I would just say something like, I made this sign this weekend. And, like it was not even like a tutorial and like all the things that you need to do on a blog post. Like how embarrassing. But I was just hoping like my friends and family, that was a way, because they're not coming over every day, but that was a way they could kind of follow along with the things that we were doing to this house as we were doing them. Not like then, like not like it was a month, but after a while, it was really fun. It was a creative outlet for me. And I like to be creative, right? So like when I was working with kids, I love the creative ways to help them learn, or creative ways to help them be creative, or creative ways to, teach them to walk, or, depending on what it was. Like I have just always been a creative person. When I was little, I liked to draw. I also liked to write. When I was little, one of my favorite things to do was to copy out of encyclopedias about animals. You guys, like, I think I've said that here before on the podcast. My kids would say, Mom, do not admit that. But I did. And if the writing wasn't perfect, I would scratch the entire page, take it out, and I would have to rewrite it. So perfectionism started real early, and that's always a struggle, but that's just what I like to do. I like to decorate my room when I was growing up and redecorate it. And on the weekends, and if it was a rainy day, I would organize my room. Like I loved that stuff. So anyway, I liked the blog. Like it was a creative way for me to show like what I was doing out of nothing, like, right? Taking something I got at a yard sale or maybe free or off the curb and flipping it into something great, so I got to actually do the projects creatively. And then I got to write about them, horribly got to write about them and didn't understand what blogging was, blah, blah, blah. Well, fast forward, I can't tell you when. I don't know if it was a year and a half, 6 months. I can't remember. But I started learning about blogging itself. And when I started doing it, I started noticing other blogs that were DIY or home related. And then it was like, okay, wait a minute, what? And I started learning that like this is like an actual thing, right? Like it's not just for your mom and your sister to come and look at what you're doing in your house. And so that intrigued me. And I dove in nights and weekends to learn everything I could about blogging and like what it was. Now, mind you, I was a person that did not want any social media. So back in the day when like Facebook and Instagram started, I didn't want it and I didn't have it. I was like, I don't want any of this. Like, friends and family were talking about, are you on Facebook? Are you on Instagram? No. Like, no, I don't get it. I don't want it. But then I learned how social media can help your blog and all of that. So then I had to set up a business. I still to this day do not have any personal social media. Like I don't. But I do for the blog and those things, which I teach all about that inside my Furniture Flipping Academy. All of this, like everything I learned, if you're like from the website to social media to just painting furniture, I created an entire academy that has everything in there. So if you're interested in that, I'll leave a link in the show notes to it so you can check it out. So I started doing that. I started learning as much as I could about it. And then it started growing. And then I started getting, social media. And then I started getting a Pinterest page for it. And then like all these things just, kept happening. And then it got to the point where it was like, okay, I am now doing this, nights, weekends, nap times, literally full time. And I still have the daycare full time. Like I couldn't do both. And we got to a point where I talked to Matt about some goals we had, and he thought I was crazy. And I'm like, I think we can do it if we can get to this. And then, I got kind of an offer for the website and a monthly thing that was able, it kind of put us over the edge and took me from like, okay, I think I'm going to give up the daycare and I'm going to do this full-time plus. So it's a lot more work than just full-time, but I was like, let's do it. And Matt's like, oh my gosh, yes, heck yes, let's do this. So then I started to really, I could devote all my time. Obviously I still had young kids at home, so they had my attention. That was my first priority. But then I had more time to devote to my creative days and what I started. So that's kind of my story and the get to know me behind my creative days and how it, led to what it is now. There's a lot more in there that I could go into, but the podcast was something that my team and I went back and forth. So we were on all platforms. Social media is so finicky, and you don't own social media, and it can change and they can do all kinds of things to you. I did a whole podcast episode on how my Facebook page got hacked. That was a nightmare. A complete nightmare. So I just wanted to make sure that we weren't putting all of our eggs into one basket. So, and that's another part of my journey. I was able to hire people to help me do all the things. And so I wanted to make sure, we're on YouTube for the longer form videos and people that like to see the tutorials, like actually, in person, which I do. I love to see, okay, I want to learn how to do this, or I'm going to do this project. Let me go to YouTube and see how to do it. So we've got that. We've got the social media, Pinterest. We've got a newsletter. We've got the website, all that. And then it came to a point and it was like, maybe we should try a podcast just for those people that like to get the information or like to listen to podcasts. Let's dive into that. So that's how the podcast started. We are in our 5th season, which is crazy to me. The girl, Madison, that helps me with the podcast, when she said that, when we started this season, I was like, wait, what? Like, does she have that right? It doesn't seem like it's been that long at all. But I enjoy this way of like connecting with you. I love to listen to podcasts. So it's kind of a fun, different way to create content for you every month, each week. So going through my creative days, I got a lot of, I've already kind of talked about the Furniture Flipping Academy, but one thing that I was getting a lot of is I want to learn how to do this and make money doing this as a side hustle, as a stay-at-home mom, as a retired person. I want to do a side hustle where I can bring in some extra cash flipping furniture. Some people had started doing it and wanted to grow their business. Some people, just wanted to know like how to paint a dresser for their house, those kinds of things. And so I put it off forever. And I said, you know what? We don't offer this. And we've got a lot of people asking about it. So I'm going to do it. And if I'm going to do it, I want to do it one and done, meaning I don't want to create 15 different courses that you have to take. Okay, now you've done this one. Now you go do this one. I wanted everything contained in this academy because the furniture flipping world, as soon as you reach one milestone, or as soon as you do, A, B, and C, D's going to happen. Like I can guarantee D's going to happen. So I just wanted to make sure I had all of that inside the academy. And not all of my content is furniture flipping. It is just one of the things. Furniture flipping is in the DIY. It's in the home space. It's in my love for home, decorating on a budget, why I started my creative days. I wanted to help other people create the home of their dreams without thinking they have to spend $1 gazillion to do it, because you don't have to. And so furniture flipping is just one of those things, right? That's inside that. It's just one of the things that I've shared over the years. It's one of the projects. I did a lot of furniture flipping back in the day. Now I coach people how to do it. Now I only pick up pieces when I really, really love them, or like they're a really great deal. And I know the makeover will, be fun and exciting. And, I can share a lot of things through the project, but I'm not doing it like I used to because I'm more coaching that now, inside the academy, and I'm doing so many other things as well. So furniture flipping is part of my creative days. It is not all of my creative days. It is just another resource that we wanted to give to those people looking for it. So you can learn from somebody that's done it and done all these other steps, not just painting furniture, because one thing I teach inside the academy, you don't have to paint furniture as a furniture flipper to make money. That's not like the only way you can do it. There are so many different ways you can make money as a furniture flipper. And I teach that inside the academy. And that's the part there that makes me excited, because I didn't know that. I thought I had to have 175 pieces of furniture in my garage for me to make money. But then I learned all these other things, and it's like, I love the transformations. I love a good DIY project, but these other things are so exciting. And who would have thought I'd be able to do all this from what I started to try and furnish our home back in the day? So I share a lot of DIY. I share a lot of home stuff. I love sharing my favorite things. Like my creative days has just evolved into so much, and it's exciting. It's different every week. And on top of that, Matt and I have started flipping houses. So, flipping furniture is great, and I've done it for so many years. Now I get to teach and coach people how to do it. And Matt and I got to the point where we were helping my dad flip houses, and then my dad got to the point where he couldn't do them anymore. And I went to Matt and I said, let's do one by ourselves. And he thought, you are nuts. Like, what are you even talking about? And I'm like, Matt, this goes back to the whole goals that I had written out. I'm like, if we do A, B, C, and D, we can do this. And so then he's like, okay, let's do it. Well, my dad at that point was still okay to come over and kind of walk us through some things. He just wasn't going to take on a full project by himself. So for the first 4 that we did, my dad was a great help. The 5th one is when he started getting a little, it wasn't horrible yet by any means. He was still able to drive himself over there and help us if we had a question. But this last one we just completed, and I shared about that here on the podcast. I did a whole walkthrough before and after and inside and in between that on my YouTube channel. So we will link the YouTube channel as well so you can check it out. But this last one, he wasn't even able to look at it with us. So it's just exciting. Those are the projects Matt and I love. We've always loved, if we go to a yard sale or something and find something that we know has tons of potential, but nobody else sees it, taking something from nothing and making it amazing again. We are obsessed with that. And being able to do it on such a bigger level with houses, we truly love it. Yeah, it's stressful. Yeah, it's a lot of work, but it's something we absolutely love. So we have, as I am recording this podcast, we just finished our last one, and we will be closing on our next one in 2 months. So make sure you're following along on YouTube because I'm sharing, a lot of the behind the scenes. Instagram, TikTok, and those, I do a lot of short clips and show you through it. So just make sure you're following along in all the places because I'm sharing all these as well. So why do I continue to create content, doing the academy and engaging with the audience? Our goal, I shouldn't say it is me. I'm doing my creative days. Matt does a lot. He helps me, obviously with the projects, flipping the houses and all those things. But when I get a message, you're going to hear my dog barking. I'm sorry. When I get a message from somebody, on Instagram or on TikTok or on, YouTube, my website, whatever, that's I just watched that, or I just read that, or I just listened to you here on the podcast even. And I think I'm finally going to try that project that I've been putting off. Or watching this makes me want to start that. Watching you, I'm going to reach out to you. I want to learn how to make money flipping furniture. I know I can do it. I know I have the eye for it, but now I'm finally going to do it. That is the sole reason why I do this. I just love bringing, maybe it's a new paint color. Maybe it's a new product that you haven't seen or heard about, and it's made a project or something about our life easier or better or something. I just love sharing that. And I love, hopefully, the content I create inspires you in some way. to either try the project, or it shares a product that you're like, oh my goodness, or a tool, or whatever it is. That's what my goal is. And honestly, it's like, it's just such a fun job. Like, I don't call it a job even, but that fuels my passion. And that's what keeps me excited and keeps me doing this. And I like to be relatable. That's one thing for sure. Like, for me, I'm never going to sugarcoat anything. And if you ask me, I'm going to tell you the honest truth. I may be more of an open book than I should be a lot of times, to be completely honest, but that's just me. If there's something you can learn from like my struggles or my journey, or I like to share that. And so I'm going to keep it real. I want all of my content is authentic. And so, yeah, it's just super fun. Okay. A few fun facts about me. Well, I guess I just kind of talked. So Matt and I have been married it'll be 25 years in October. We have 2 kids, Landon and Gabrielle. Landon is 21. Gabrielle is 19. They are both in college right now. And we have a dog named Hilly. That is Hilly with an H. We are huge Iowa State Cyclone fans. Hilton Coliseum, Hilly, Hilton Coliseum. When we got the dog, I actually did a full podcast about that. Gabrielle was begging us for a dog, and we got one. And I'm going to be, and I was completely honest, going back to that, I am an open book. I literally thought that was going to ruin me. That adjustment, it was so embarrassing, but it was so real. I was not okay. I talked all about it on a podcast episode, so you can look back for that one. But she has been the most amazing dog. And I was so worried about dogs chewing, the furniture, chewing. This dog has never chewed a piece of woodwork. She has never chewed on anything that is not a toy of hers. We've had her, she will be 4 in September, but she has been the best dog. Like, it almost ruined me, but literally we couldn't have asked for a better dog. And it's so crazy now going through like the stages that we have this dog and seeing who really needed this dog, not wanted, who really needed this dog. It's been crazy. So that's kind of our family dynamics. I just kind of wanted to give you a little bit of backstory about me, who I am. And if you have any questions, or you're like wondering about either the journey, I love to talk about it. I love to, anything I can help you with in that. If you have other personal questions, just for me, my family, anything, like I said, I'm an open book. I'm happy to talk about 99.9% things that people ask me. I mean, I answer them. So I could do a whole kind of like a Q&A, which are my favorite podcasts to record, episode about that. If we get a lot of messages or emails or whatever about that, I'd be happy to do that. But I just appreciate you guys being here. It's hard, podcasting, you can't see who's on your podcast, you can get, analytics and things through social media and on your website, but podcasting is just a little different. So if you enjoyed this podcast or any of the other podcast episodes, this was kind of, just getting to know me a little bit better. I'd love if you take just a minute to rate and review it. No matter where you're listening, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever else, your support truly, truly, truly helps us. It not only helps more people find the show when you do that, but it also lets me know what kind of content you're loving. So if you have a second, please tap the stars, leave a quick review, and know that I appreciate every single one. And if you're ever listening to one of the podcasts and you're like, oh my goodness, so-and-so needs to hear this, please share it. Please share the podcast. Like I said, it truly helps us just get it out there to more people. And it kind of makes what we're doing worth it, because I would love to hear from you if you listen to the podcast, if you enjoy the podcast, because again, I just want to make sure that what we're doing on all the platforms and, the content we're creating is worthwhile. And the more we hear from you, that lets us know that we stay, keep doing it. And the less we hear from you, it could be something that we decide maybe we'll do something different. So I would love to hear from you. You can always email me, Lindsay@mycreativedays.com. You can DM me on Instagram at My Creative Days. I would love to hear from you. I always enjoy your messages, your questions, your whatever. Please send them to me. Keep them coming. And then, if we get a bunch of questions about the podcast, or I love doing Q&As. So don't just send one question. If you've got 3, 4, 5, or 10, send them all. I would love to answer them all. So until next time, I hope you have a great day, and I'll talk to you very soon. Hello, friends. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. I'm grateful that you tune in every week and that you share the show with your family and friends. I love having creative chit chats with you, and my hope is that this podcast will inspire you to try a new project, start a DIY that you've been putting off, and decorate your home exactly how you want it. There are a few ways you can help us with the podcast. Follow the podcast so you don't miss an episode. And if you could take a few minutes to leave the podcast a review, that would help us so much. Again, thank you for being here, and I look forward to our chat next week. Bye-bye.